Hello, Level by Level Gamer here, and this is the second half of my review for the PAP K3 Plus. And if you remember on my first video, I did cover some of the stuff that's along the top here. I think I called a couple of these things wrong. So this is the USB power where you can charge your battery or connect this to your PC to transfer data. This is a TV out only. There is not a TV in, and it is also your headphone jack. So now that we've cleared that up, let's continue on into the operation of this device. So you have your power button along the top, and as you can see, it fires up. Super game. A little hokey, but I can get past that. Now, along your dashboard here, across the top, you have a string of preloaded games. All these came on this device, and honestly, I don't really know how to go into the file system and take these off or interchange these or move these around, but you don't really have to because there's actually some pretty nice games that are right here for you to grab right at the start of the system. You don't have to go into any menus, and that's what's kind of nice about having this right across the top here. A lot of these are your beat 'em up arcade style games, and that's pretty cool because if you just want to grab a quick game and go, it's nice to have those. Also, what's pretty cool is having these little thumbnails. So like, let's take this game for instance. Considering where this is from and what's the word I'm looking for, translations being pretty sketchy, this game they call the Publisher. But you can see from the thumbnail it's actually the Punisher, and that's a decent beat 'em up game. But if you saw that name and you didn't have like a little thumbnail, you're like, what in the world is the Publisher? Is that like some kind of weird word game or something like that? No, it's the Punisher, and that makes those little thumbnails nice there. So starting with this first game here, you have Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, a really good arcade ROM here. So you hit the A button to select it, the emulator gets spun up and started, and voila, there you go. You are playing the arcade game. And I'm inserting coins here, as you can see, by hitting the select button. Now listen to the volume. It is really quite loud just for this little handheld, and the sound quality isn't bad at all either. So I'm going to cut it down just a little bit so it doesn't play over me when I'm trying to talk. So you enter into the game with the start button, and there you go. We are off and running. The emulation is real smooth. The sound isn't cracking at all. There's no kind of like flickers in the screen. This little screen is doing a really good job. I don't know if it's translating as well on my camera here, but it looks nice on this screen. And trying to play it here, laying it down flat so you can see. As you can see, the buttons respond really well. There is no lag or stutter, and the emulation is running very, very smoothly. Also, let's use this little joystick here. The joystick does everything that you want it to do. It's smooth, responsive. Anyways, like I said, just very impressed with this little handheld emulator. So that's enough of that. If you want to get out to a menu, you can hit start and select at the same time. You can either continue, go into the game settings here, skipping forward, your volume, things of that nature, brightness. You can set your buttons if you want something of a different setup on here. Most of these games are just fine the way that they are. You can go back by hitting the B button. You can instant archive. Now, if you're new to ROMs or emulation, instant archive is awesome because you can literally take a snapshot right now where you are in this game and save it. Now, if I want to go back to that, I would just be able to go back to that same spot right where I was at. You can reset the game or you can quit back to the menu, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to quit back to the menu. So that is that preloaded dashboard across the top. Along the bottom here, you have your section where all your emulators are, and this is where your ROMs would be, and this is where you would load your ROMs. I'll do a whole nother video on having this thing connected or plugged up and explaining some of the file systems in here. But you have your Capcom ROMs, or that's where some of those arcade games are located. Your Neo Geo, which is awesome. Your Game Boy Advance. Now, this is marketed in a different country, so if you're in the US like us, or like me rather, you have Super Famicom, which is your Super Nintendo, your Mega Drive, which is your Sega Genesis, your Famicom, which would be your Nintendo, your Game Boy Color, your Sega Master System, and that's kind of nice because that's not something I used to own whenever I was a kid. I knew people that had one, and being able to play it now is really cool. The Game Gear, which is also pretty awesome because mine broke a long time ago. The Game Boy and Game Boy Color. So that is quite a bit of preloaded emulators on here that you can do your handheld gaming. Let's go back out of this menu, and like I said, I'll do a video more in depth of these, actually, where you don't have to watch this little small screen. You have your music, video, your video camera, voice capture or sound capture, pictures, ebooks, a manual file explorer, so you can go in and actually look at these things, the actual root files of them, and your settings. But like I said, this is just a quick review of this thing cutting on, the display and how sharp it is, how crisp, how clear, and that it's a good overall size for the handheld, and just a quick intro into your dashboard here. So on my third video, I'm going to do a more detailed review. I'll have this thing, I'll hook it up to a computer, I'll hook it up to a TV, I'll show you some of the file systems and go more into depth on some of these other operations of this machine. So once again, thank you for watching, and please follow me into my third and final review for this device.